गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः
Namaste. Having invoked the Gurus, seeking their blessings, I wish you all a very happy Guru Purnima today. At Keshiki Nritya Bhasha, my dance school in Mumbai, every year we celebrate Guru Purnima, offering our homage to all the Gurus who have shown us the path to find our way in whatever we seek. Be it dance or music or any passion that leads us up, making whatever we are seeking our worship for peace and happiness. Today, amidst the pandemic, we are all battling the situation in different ways, trying to give each other solace, comfort, positive energy to bring back normalcy. Our dance is a great medium for giving positive energy, but more important is the dancer's attitude while navigating through these tough times. We all need support and strength from within as well as from each other. Hence, today, On this auspicious day, we have invited Srimati Janaki Rangarajan, an accomplished artist, a Bharatanatyam dancer, who will share with us her thoughts today. I'm extremely grateful and happy that Janaki ji, who lives in the US, has readily accepted to share her valuable experience on sustaining the need and the urge of moving ahead in the pursuit of our journey in dance on this auspicious day. Also amidst us, we have another guest speaker today, Noreen Morani. Noreen is a young lady who has initiated a wonderful service of reaching out the needy and helping with giving them food and ration during the lockdown time when so many are left jobless and hungry. Her dedicated work has inspired me to have her with us today and share her experiences with us. So friends, we have Janaki ji and Noreen with us today to continue with our faith in ourselves as we move on through different situations. I now invite Janaki ji to join in this celebration.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. My humble pranams to Shri Kelucharanji and all the legends. My respects to Dakshaji and my heartfelt greetings to each one of you. I am honored and so happy to be part of this celebration on the auspicious Guru Purnima day. What a beautiful word, Guru. There is no single word translation for this word. Gu, which signifies the darkness, and Ru, which signifies the removal of this darkness. The darkness being ignorance, which is removed by the light of knowledge, which is given to us by our Gurus, who guide us not only in what we learn, but become our guides for life. So for me, this day is not just about one person, but rather about a celebration of a beautiful feeling that is experienced because of a journey that we take with a soul that not only teaches us, but guides us to find ourselves. So this is such a happy moment for all of us to celebrate those rare souls that have always guided us, and we are truly indebted to them. Right now, as we all travel through a very difficult phase where uncertainty has become a constant, unfortunately. But we need to keep hope and believe that there is light for all of us at the end of this very convoluted tunnel. There is a lot of anxiety, and we have so many questions in our mind, from something as simple as when will I be able to go out, meet my friends, be together with some of my family, to something more complicated and dark as will I be able to survive this? Will my loved ones be able to survive this? But amidst this chaos, this phase has also taught us a lot about ourselves. How resilient we are, how sensitive we should be, how we need to believe in ourselves. And it has also forced us to check our priorities. We are artists. And beyond the fact that we have been trained in our art, the discipline and the hard work that has been instilled in us has trained us to be strong, not just outside, but also inside. So with this strength that we have, we need to find answers for all the questions that we have as artists. And I'm going to be addressing some of those questions that you might be thinking about. Let me just start with a very simple thing like access to space. I'm sure all of you are not able to dance in the kind of spaces that you would think of as proper dance spaces. Let me come to you with my experience as a performer who travels a lot. There are many times that I've asked my organizers and requested them to make a proper dance space available to me so that I may be able to continue with my practice without any hindrance. But there are a few times when that was really not possible. So, and I had to fall back on spaces like sometimes a garage space or somebody's dining room or a very small space in my bedroom, and sometimes as weird as the deck of a ship. But I've always thought about space as something that I have to make it and not something that is readily available for me. Recently, I had talked about how dancers always had to struggle to dance in their own homes. Sometimes you live on the top floor in an apartment complex and you have neighbors who really don't understand dancers or artists or what dance means to these people, and that we have to do these things to survive. And there's a constant battle, even during decent times of the day, to be able to practice in our own spaces. And I had also jokingly mentioned that, you know, I just said it, dance until you're thrown out. But that was just a joke. I don't want any of you to get thrown out of your homes. But we need to stand our ground and make sure that our loved ones and people who live around us give us that space to practice. Sometimes we will not be, like right now, we will not be able to go to a proper dance space, and for many of us it has been our dance school space where teachers have allowed us to go and practice in those spaces. But now we don't have that luxury and we need to find the space to do that. So I urge all of you to have conversations with your family or your friends and your neighbors so that you're able to make that space a dance space for yourself. Sometimes you will not be able to physically get up and dance, but I don't think that should discourage you from practicing altogether. I would encourage you to sit and work on the movements of the upper body, strengthen your upper body, or work on facial expressions, abhinaya. These are very important aspects of dance. Or just go through your lessons. Think about the song, the choreography for the song, how the musicality is for the song, and work on the talam aspects or the rhythm aspects, the laya aspects. So these things can be done very easily in a space where you might not be able to physically get up and dance. But these are part and parcel of any practice session. Next, I would like to talk about how we are not able to interact with our teachers and friends in dance class in person. It's unfortunate. There are many young dancers who find it very motivational to be able to go into the dance class, to be in front of the teacher, take their guidance, correct themselves, and to be part of a bigger group where you have everybody dancing. It's a beautiful energy in that space and it motivates you to do further. And that is quite lacking in this time. But what can we do? There's one thing we can do. We can take the help of technology. I know that many teachers have opened online classrooms for their students. Of course, it is not going to be as good as being in person, but we have to make do with what we have. There are a lot of platforms, online platforms that are very helpful. And during this phase, we should think a little bit more than just practical lessons. We should think about asking our teachers about their theoretical knowledge, about the musical knowledge that they have, about how they think about choreography, or even something like their journey as an artist. I think that is still knowledge that will be helpful for young aspiring dancers, and this is a very good phase to sit down and have that conversation with your teacher. And when it comes to being with your friends, your peers in a class, we can still make that happen through online gatherings. Talk about dance, not just be able to dance, but talk about dance, talk about ideas about dance, have conversations about what makes you dance in this difficult time, and bounce off energy with each other. So I urge young dancers to make use of the technology in this manner so that you may learn more about your teachers, you may learn more about your friends. And when you come back in person into the studio, there is so much more that you are able to relate to each other. Next, I would like to talk about how anxious we are about when we will be able to perform on stage again, when we will be able to interact with our audiences. I'm going to take the optimistic route here and say that very soon, very soon. Let's not forget that our civilization has gone through a lot. Wars, famine, world wars, pandemics, and so many other things, and we have come out stronger than ever before. And we will do so with this pandemic also. When it comes to performing in front of audiences, of course, as an artist, I truly understand what it means to perform on stage with all those lights and having the energy from the audience. That is something we all look forward to. But then in the meantime, we need to find ways to engage with our art form. Some of us have started sharing things on social media, which is a much welcome gesture, and there have been organizations who have been organizing festivals for youngsters to perform, and there are many youngsters who have performed on their own social media handles. All of them are really beautiful gestures that I truly welcome. But at the same time, as an established performer, I want all the young aspiring performers to tread very carefully when you are putting your art on an online platform. Please ask some questions before you do anything that might jeopardize your growth. So please tread very carefully so that you don't go without moderation. And without moderation, it might be detrimental, not just to yourself, but to the field itself. At the same time, if you're one of those artists who does not want to share it online, don't think that you failed. You're not. It is very personal to each and every single artist. There are some of us who want to share, who want to create, and who want to share it with everyone on their social media handles, on YouTube, whatever it is. And there are some of us who don't want to do it, who work in silence, who don't want to share this art just like that, who are waiting to be on stage again. There is nothing right or wrong about any of those. It's very personal to who you are as an artist, and you should not think about judge yourself based on what somebody else has or has not done. So please keep that in mind, because judging yourself with regard to what somebody else has done is not very healthy all the time. So let's not go there. Let's just work on our art as to how we see it inside of ourselves. Whether we like it or not, we are stuck in this phase right now. Instead of worrying about what's next, I encourage all the young artistic minds to make use of this period to introspect, to learn, to unlearn, to understand, to get a deeper understanding of this art form. Why do we do what we do? Why do we love dance? I think we need to address that. What are we trying to communicate through this art form? What are we trying to learn? And what is it that we are trying to communicate? Yes, we learn it as a traditional art form, but the beauty of the art form is that it is not restrictive to only traditional conversations. There's so many things that we can communicate through this vocabulary, and we need to start thinking about what are the things that move us and what are the things that we need to communicate and share with the community at large. So this is a good phase to think about what our journey as an artist is, what our voice is in this artistic field. So I would like for everyone to sit down and put some thought process into shaping your own artistic journey and your voice as unique artist in this field. The next thing that I want to address is practice. I was part of a IG live where some young artists had asked me about practice methodologies. The first thing I said is the most dangerous thing in my opinion is to practice just for a performance. When I say dangerous, it just means that that practice is very short-term practice. It's got a very short-term goal. And I always think as practice to be a long-term goal for myself and my students. So when we practice, it is not just about the physicality of it. There are a number of things that we need to think about when we practice. We need to think about the movement vocabulary. To understand the movement, not just physically, but from inside. Are we taking the time to understand the movement from inside? I also suggested that we practice to music. Sometimes it's really good to practice to silence. Just use the movements and practice in the space and try to understand the energy of those movements inside of you and how you're connecting that energy from one to another and how it flows from one to another, and that kind of shapes your movement vocabulary itself. There are also a lot of questions about stamina and strength building during practice. And while addressing that, I want to reinforce the importance of how we need to look at breath, how we breathe during movements. There are many times that we don't give enough effort in understanding how the breath flows when we are in action. There are a lot of times when I find students who hold their breath in difficult positions or when they are doing movements in higher speeds, but that should not be the case. If you want to build good stamina, you need to know how your breath flows and be able to control your breath in a consistent manner, whether you're doing first speed, second speed, or third speed, or you're doing high energy movements or low energy movements. It doesn't matter, the breath needs to be constantly flowing. So this is something that we can work on during this phase, understand the breath and how it flows while we move when we dance. The second thing that we can focus on for strength building itself is, I think it would be great if dancers give attention to yoga. I'm one of those people who really love my yoga and truly believe that that has helped me a lot in being a strong dancer. Not only is it physically helpful, but it really helps mentally and emotionally to focus and gain perspective about what you want to do when you dance. It makes you ease into your movements, and that is what yoga does. And this is a good phase which can be used in understanding yoga, learning yoga from a proper teacher, getting good guidance so that you don't injure yourself, and I encourage students to do that during this time. The other things that we can do productively during this phase is, I see that there are a lot of students who don't understand dance beyond what the practical aspect of it is taught to them. theory is not understood, musicality of pieces are not understood, ragam, layam, talam, these are very important aspects for dance that every single dancer should understand. So we need to take time, and this is a good time to understand theory. We all know that Natya Shastra is the earliest literature that is available to us that talks about the movement, the grammar of movements at that time. And but since then, there have been many other books, texts that have been written that talk about how the movements have evolved according to that century, according to that era. And it is very important for dancers to understand how movements have evolved and come to a place where they are right now and how we learn them right now. So for that, theoretical understanding of movements is very important, and I urge every single dancer to take the time to understand the theoretical aspect. And next is music. Without music, how can we dance? We need that music, and to be a good dancer, you need to have very strong understanding of music. What are the ragams used? And each ragam has got what we call a raga bhavam, which means that how it flows. And when you understand the raga bhavam, it is easier for your body to flow in that manner, and you kind of become visual music to the people watching you, and it's very beautiful. You just flow gracefully along with the music, and so much more enjoyable by the audience. So please take time to understand some aspects of ragams and the rhythmic aspect, so that you understand the choreography also, and you're just not learning something and just throwing it out. You're learning something, you're thinking about it, you're understanding the nuances of it, whether it is music, whether it is ragam or the melody or the rhythm structure, or whether it is the nuances of the choreography based on the language in which the poetry is written. And it is not just that you are communicating just word to word. We are understanding the words, but we go beyond the words to communicate the essence of the song. And for that, we need to understand literature. We need to understand when it was written, why it was written, how it was written. And all these things should be done with careful analysis of the language, of the composer, of the words themselves. And with all this understanding, when you do a piece, it is so much more effective. You're able to communicate way more than what you've been taught. And this is a good time to revisit all those pieces that you've been taught and understand with a deeper sense of the nuances, and to be able to bring about the beauty of the piece itself, and layer it with your own understanding. Layer it with your own unique personality. And this is something that I urge all the youngsters to do at this point of time. And this can be done just by yourself, or you can connect with your friends. You can ask your teachers more about the pieces that you learned. This is a good time to ask, to have that knowledge, so you're better equipped. And when you come back on stage and dance it, it is so much more beautiful, so much stronger, and so much more effective. So this is a good time to understand the body from inside, for how unique it is, and not just use it as a copy-paste instrument, so that you come out with your own unique personality and bring something beautiful to this field of art, the field of dance. Once again, we are artists. We are some of the most resilient souls on the face of this earth. At the same time, we are also some of the most vulnerable souls, easy prey to pressure and to succumb to things that are not healthy. So during this phase, let us try very hard to think very carefully about what is healthy for us. There's always a mad rush to do this, to showcase that, to learn this item in this fast-paced world. But let us take this phase to be a moment where we pause and think about ourselves. Think about our journey as an artist in this field, what we want to communicate. We are constantly looking around and seeing so many things that affect us, that move us. Let us put our energy into those things that move us and try to communicate that with everybody around us. Share our knowledge. Sometimes we become emotional about these things. Let us not stop ourselves from only communicating things that have been taught to us, but also be able to communicate things that move us very strongly from inside. I urge all the dancers, young dancers listening to this, to please find a way to raise your voice, not just for what personally moves you, but also for everything that affects others around you. Unless you raise your voice, you cannot find change. You cannot make a change in what you want. So let's take this phase to pause and reflect on what is really important for us and how we can grow wiser and stronger as an artist. Thank you very much, and hope to see all the artists on stage very, very soon. Thank you. Good wishes.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Daksha and Namrata. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Namrata, for that very kind introduction. I'm very excited to be here, actually. I've been a great admirer of classical dance, and I'm very, very in awe of all you beautiful dancers out there. Thank you so much for having me here. I'd like to start with a small little poem. It's something that's inspired me, and I'd like to read it out to you. A poor little girl was walking in the cold, her clothing all tattered and thin. Spied a rich man standing outside a church. The service was about to begin. "Please, sir," she said, "hear an orphan child. The cold winds of winter have come. I have no place to live, not in all the world. Oh, help me find work in some home." The rich man frowned. "Don't you hear the hymn? Good people have gathered in prayer. It's a day for worship, you impious girl." Saddened, the girl wandered down the cold street, and there all at once she beheld a small boy. No jacket, no shoes for his feet. His clothing was shabby, as worn as hers. He shivered against a closed door. "Ah, alas!" he cried, "none will take me in, although I'm starving and cold, for I'm poor." Seeing him, she cried, "How I feel for you! It's bitter with no friends to live. Please take my shawl, it's all I can spare, though it's shameful, so little to give." She wrapped him all up in the flimsy cloth and kissed his cold forehead and smiled. Suddenly a warmth like a summer breeze enriched this poor girl and child. And a tender voice said, "My daughter, I'm here. No more shall you weep without friends, for in yonder church there is no love like yours. Those with pure hearts, their needs I attend. My child, all men's sorrows would turn to joy if they knew that to share is no loss, for it's kindness that broadens the human heart. Worship means but love, and my love you found by your gift to me here in the cold." And she found their clothes were now woolen and warm, and the shawl was now spun of fine gold. So this really inspired me. I learnt and understood that worship means to give, worship means to love, to be empathetic, to be compassionate whilst giving. I hope that I could inspire y'all as well through this poem. I am a wedding planner, an event planner by profession, and my life is very, very hectic. So when I found out that we were going to have a 21-day lockdown, I was really very happy because which meant no work for 21 days. So I was enjoying my time with my family and with myself. But every time I sat on my table to eat, I felt that something is missing, something's not right. And with all the saddened news, the sorrow outside, people losing their jobs, no food to eat, I realized that something needs to be done. I need to do something. I came across this one video where an NGO was collecting rotis from every house in a society. And in doing that, they were able to collect around 1,000 rotis, and they started distributing that to the slums. So that's where I got this idea. I made a WhatsApp group of all my friends and my mother's friends in the vicinity, and I requested them to make 5 rotis or 10 rotis with some sabzi and roll it up and come and drop it off at a certain point. Lo and behold, I had 30 very beautiful, generous ladies doing that for me for a whole 15 days. Daksha being one of them, very kind and generous. So I did this for 15 days. I got my mother, my daughter, all the help in the house to cook every morning, and it was like one big event. We did it with lots of smiling faces, and I used to have my help, take the car and park it at a certain point, and everybody from the vicinity came and dropped off the food over there. Now, of course, there were a lot of challenges where stepping out was a challenge because the fear of catching the virus, meeting people, whom to give it to, who will distribute it, whom to distribute it to, making sure it reaches the right people. But I believe that every time there is a challenge, there's also somebody to help you with that challenge. And we identified the right people. We had, we had angels who gave us masks and all the gear, the gloves, to give it to our volunteers. So it happened where everybody was safe and taken care of. So we did that for 15 days. Now, after 15 days, the lockdown got extended. And I was saddened because, of course, those people couldn't start work, and so they would still go hungry. So out of the 30, I had 10 ladies who were willing to continue giving me the rotis. But I didn't, but I had 150 out there to feed. But of course, there's always somebody looking down and helping you out. So I came across this one gentleman who had started an NGO and who was doing the same thing for the last 3 months. And he was distributing around 3,000 to 5,000 rotis every single day. And so I requested him to give me 150 to 200 rotis, and he said, of course I will. And so he did that for me. For the last 1.5 months, we have been distributing food to around 150 people. And I'm very, very thankful to Daksha and to all the women out there who supported me and give me so much pleasure and happiness in doing this. And I hope that this little story of mine could inspire all of you all. I thank you all so much, the parents and Daksha, who helped and inspired all you little children to do the same thing today on this very happy occasion of Guru Purnima. I'd like to end by quoting a little philosophy from your institute itself, which I was very inspired by. A complete dancer is one who is a keen student, a versatile performer, and a good teacher. So happy Guru Purnima to each one of you students out there, because there is a guru in each one of you. Again, thank you so much for having me here. I hope I could make a little bit of a difference in each one of you. Thank you, Namrata, and thank you, Daksha, for having me here again. I hope that I can come and visit you all and perhaps do one little lesson of learning this beautiful dance. Thank you so much. Thank you.